Barrett, I hope you're doing well. Welcome into the game in T-Town.
I'm doing great, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
What was your big thoughts when you see Tua not winning the Heisman?
I wasn't surprised, that Kyler won. I thought it would be close. I did think Tua would win, but I wasn't necessarily shocked that Kyler won. I just figured it was going to be one of the closest votes in history. And while I thought Tua would maintain his edge, I certainly doubted that I was going to be right with that prediction. I was floored with how big the gap was because they sort of said how it was close on the air. But under 300 votes is still relatively close, and Tua only winning the South and only winning the South by 19 points is astounding to me. So the voting breakdown and how big of a runaway this actually was, that was the thing that really stood out to me most.
Barrett, let's go back to the South for just a couple of minutes. As you pointed out, we've talked about this here. Tua 375, Kyler 356, 19 votes in the South. How do you explain that?
I can't. I legitimately can't. Because this is my guess, and I know folks will say Bama fatigue. That's not true. I don't think there's Bama fatigue. I think there might be voter fatigue. That if you have 13 weeks out of the year thinking one thing, and then something happens and Tua looks human, you sort of doubt yourself to say, okay, well, is this really what I want to do with my vote? And you don't have time as a voter to prove that you shouldn't. I think it's kind of like what happened, with Geno Smith. Remember Geno Smith at West Virginia was the September Heisman for everybody. And then he had one bad game and everybody started doubting him. And then, you sort of look at him and say, okay, can he get back in it? But he never did. That I think is kind of what's at stake here. That, a lot of times you just look somewhere else as a voter, to try to give yourself some balance. And unfortunately for Tua, it came at the last minute. And, there was nothing else he could do about it to change people's minds. I think that's it. That's the only way I can explain it. I don't think it's Bama fatigue, though. If this was a Bama fatigue thing, you would have seen a lot more blowback nationally for Tua, and Dwayne Haskins would have been closer. But I just think in this case, people looked at Kyler and said, you know what? He had a historic season, too. Give it to him because you hadn't seen him have a bad game like Tua, at least not to that extent.
I know I believe in the SEC, whether you want to talk about LSU, Mississippi State, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, wherever you talk about defensive play. I think Tua could have done what he did here out there. The question is, could Kyler Murray do what he did out there here in the SEC?
Yes, there's no doubt about that in my mind. Yes, he absolutely can. I think his ability to make plays both inside the pocket and outside the pocket makes him incredible. It makes him incredible, especially considering he has a great offensive line. I know that helped him a lot too. The offensive line helped him, but yeah, I absolutely think that Kyler could do what he did in the Big 12 in the SEC. Maybe not to that extent. Maybe he wouldn't have the stats that he had, but comparable to what he's done. Yeah, I have no doubt about that. I think that the one difference would be, how much does he need to do? Sort of like Tua, does he have the ability, or would he be in situations where, he can take a seat in the fourth quarter consistently? I think he would put himself in positions like that, and I think that would hypothetically, lead to maybe a statistically worse season more than anything else.
Barrett, when you go back and you begin to try to project ahead, and I know you've done this as well, when we talk about looking at 2019 and beginning to kind of project, is he the front runner for next year? I mean, if you look at Tua and look at everything he has coming back, is he the front runner for next year?
Yeah, without a doubt. Tua would be a front runner. Trevor Lawrence would certainly be a front runner. Ian Book would probably be in that mix. I would imagine that if Justin Herbert comes back, and there's been some talk either way of that at Oregon, that he would be right in there as well. Those are the kind of guys I think you'd be looking at. Outside of them, I don't know, Shea Patterson returns I guess he'll get the love he got this year again, although I don't buy it, but he would be at least discussed in there if Dwayne Haskins comes back, although I doubt it. He would be in the mix. But Tua would be the front runner, and assuming there aren't any surprise, returning quarterbacks, I would say it's Tua, Trevor Lawrence, guys like that are going to be at or near the top. Jake Fromm would be in that mix as well.
Sometimes when you're called in, you're asked questions on the air, you don't really know what to respond, but I tried to respond the best way that I could. About 60 minutes ago, somebody called in and asked that if I expected Jalen Hurts to transfer. I said, I'm not sure what I expect from Jalen Hurts because every time you expect something, he proves you wrong. I mean, I didn't think that he would make it to fall camp. Then when he lost the job, I didn't think that he would make it to the fourth game. He proved us wrong on every front. He continued to get better. I don't know what to expect from Jalen Hurts. Do you?
No, I don't. In retrospect, I think it's pretty obvious, why he chose to come back, aside from the team goals. I think from an individual standpoint, he probably felt that, and it certainly seems like this isn't a probably, that this is how it went down, that he felt that being a backup at Alabama and getting trained by Dan Enos is better at furthering his career as a quarterback and long-term goal as a quarterback than it would be to play somewhere else as a starter. Because Dan Enos, I think you and I talked about this, all season. I mean, Jalen is a great passer now. I mean, he is legitimately improved by leaps and bounds and hasn't really played that much. So I think that was in retrospect, is the reason he stuck around. Is 1 year of that good enough for him to sort of, take his work elsewhere and try to win some games? I still think so. I mean, I still think he's going to transfer and go somewhere where he can start and use what he learned this year under Dan Enos to maybe lead his team to a national championship again. So, I think he's gone, and would I be surprised if he decided to stay? At this point, nothing Jalen Hurts does would surprise me because, like you said, he's kind of surprised us at every turn, especially coming in the same building against the same team and leading a comeback in the same spot in which he was benched a year ago.
Barrett, I know that this has become a talking point, and sometimes as media, I'm guilty of it. I think most people are. We get a talking point, and it becomes just a saying that you say, and it becomes catchy. How bad is Oklahoma's defense?
Historically bad. They are. I don't know what the actual number is at the end of the season, but I know they were second to last in the country in red zone defensive touchdown percentage before championship weekend. It is at one point late in November, they had only stopped the team from scoring touchdowns 6 times in the red zone. Like that, not just scoring touchdowns. So yeah, I mean, it's historically bad, and I think it's fundamentals and it's lack of development, but it's more fundamentals than anything else. You just have guys not knowing what they're doing. You don't know what they're looking at. They don't understand how they're supposed to react to things. They don't understand how offenses are attacking them. It's a wretched defense. And Alabama, as long as it doesn't shoot itself in the foot, will probably be able to score every single time it has the ball. And that's what's so interesting to me is, do you want to score? Do you want to go, north of 50 points if you're Alabama? Or do you want to just run 3 or 4 yards and fall down and make sure Kyler Murray stays on the sideline? Because I think the latter might be the better way to go about business.
So if Tua's not even, let's say he's 80%, okay, would you even roll him out there? I mean, just let Jalen Hurts do his thing.
I would definitely consider that because Jalen's style, lends itself to more to what I just said. That's kind of how he rolls. So I would consider it, although you'd have to wonder what that would mean going into the national championship game if they were to get past Oklahoma. What would that look like and how would those conversations go? But I think the thing with Alabama now is that they know that that Jalen's ready for this again. Like they've known he's always been a great quarterback and capable of leading them into big situations. But after all that's gone down, he's fine with his role and he can excel, so there's no need to put Tua out there if, he's going to be at risk of hurting the team. Because, I mean, let's be honest, Tua hurt Alabama in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Before he got hurt and then after he got hurt, he was a liability. And so do you want to run that risk again if he's still banged up? The answer to me is probably not, but it would depend on his health and how he reacts to situations coming back from injury, when I think against Georgia, he was trying to do way too much.
We're talking to Barrett Sallee, CBSSports.com, CBSSports.com. He covers college football on the national level, also ESPN and SiriusXM. When you look at this Clemson-Notre Dame game, I mean, how hard would it be? And it's so hard to – I guess it's so easy. It's Alabama-Clemson, right? Santa Clara? I mean, I think Vegas has got this one nailed.
Yeah, I think so too. Both are double-digit favorites. I would probably pick both to cover. I think it's, we haven't had a ton of interesting semifinals, although the Rose Bowl last year is sort of the exception. I would imagine we get some pretty boring semifinals this year as well, and we do get Alabama-Clemson Part 4 in the college football heaven of the world, Santa Clara, California, the South Bay. Because where else would you want to see Clemson and Alabama square off? But yeah, I'd imagine we're headed right towards that.
Let me look here at my credit card report. I think it would disagree. Let me look real quick. I'm gonna look here at the cost of travel. My credit card statement disagrees, Barrett.
It's
is that the college football pinnacle of the world?
No, not at all.
I mean, like when we get off the plane, what are those folks out in Santa Clara? What are you guys doing around here?
That's pretty much what they're going to do. And then you're going to have to drive an hour and a half to get to the stadium because it's nowhere close to San Francisco and impossible to get to. So, it's going to be a weird title game, especially, if Alabama and Clemson make it, because it just seems, at least in Arizona a couple years ago or 3 years ago, like that's a traditional, bowl site. People go to there all the time,
Sure.
Santa Clara, unless you're going to the Red Box Bowl now, it's not, or the Pac-12 champion, unless you're one of the 10 fans at the Pac-12 championship game, you don't go there for college football.
Yeah, I always think it is kind of weird that you pointed that out. I'm sitting here thinking about it. They call it the San Francisco 49ers. It's an hour and 20 minutes away. It's not even close to San Francisco, but that's where the 49ers play their home games at Levi Stadium. It's odd all the way around.
It is. It's very strange. I don't know where the media hotel is, but I'm sure it'll be in downtown San Francisco, which is actually
No. It's in Santa Clara. Yeah, thankfully, because I'm telling you what I'm doing. I'm not even flying to San Fran. I'm going right in. Well, and Lord knows Nick Saban if he knew this, but if you travel with Southwest, you have the reserve to cancel. I'm flying directly into San Jose, 2 miles from the media hotel.
See, you're planning ahead. I have not done that, and I will live to regret that, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you fly out of Atlanta, man. I mean, Atlanta's easy to – I mean, if there is one benefit to living in the big city of Atlanta, you can get cheap flights and you can get direct flights. So
that is accurate.
Yeah. So that's the good thing. If you fly to Birmingham and you're competing with all these Alabama fans going to one airport, oh, glory, glory, glory. It is expensive, expensive. Matter of fact, I've already looked at a lot of the airlines already sold out. And so Nick Saban would call it rat poison. We call it planning ahead.
I remember when it was the 2013 season when Auburn beat Missouri and then Ohio State lost to Michigan State. I looked at Atlanta to L.A. or John Wayne, both of them, before the Auburn game, during the Auburn game, and then after the Ohio State-Michigan game. And it went from like $269 round trip to like $2,000 round trip in like 7 hours.
Well, but I mean, I know we're sitting here talking about it from a media perspective, but see, this is, to me, it disengages the real fans. I mean, when you have $675 face value tickets, you don't want the common fan in those seats.
No, you don't. You're not expecting that, and you're trying to price them out. And if people can get face value tickets, they try to find ways to get there cheap. I know almost every Georgia fan that I know that went to the Rose Bowl last year flew into Las Vegas and took a bus over. which is not a bad deal.
Sure,
I mean,
it's
you can
not.
get to Vegas, why not? But yeah, I mean, you have to be creative.
No, you do, and maybe we'll find a way. I guess we get a break next year. It's back in New Orleans, so
There you go.
that's a good thing. Barrett Sallee, you'll find him on ESPNU on SiriusXM, and also CBSSports.com. CBSSports.com, writing about the great game that we love so much. CBSSports.com, National College Football Analyst. The best way to connect with him on the Twitter account, straight up at Barrett Sallee. Barrett, as always, thank you for your time. Have a great afternoon.
All right, thanks, Ryan. You too.